Welcome back to my channel, The Atypical Workshop, and to my house renovation series. Today, we need to go in there, so I need a bit of a run-up for this. You follow?
Not in the slightest.
Why not?
I can't see or hear you.
So you mean we're going to have to take out this wall?
Oh, well spotted.
Right. Yeah. That's quite the undertaking, no?
Of course it is.
All right then. Oh, and while I've still got your attention, remember to...
You foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach!
Remember to like, comment,
Wingardium Leviosa.
and subscribe! Firstly, I'm going to nip in, I'm going to go round to the other side and work out what's the maximum width opening I could have without modifying. So the plan here is to open up this wall fairly wide into the shed on the other side. But there's one problem, and that is the half landing in the shed, because you'll notice in the shed that the ceiling's lower at the back, and that's because the stairs come up onto a half landing and then continue up. And there's wood framing around there to support that landing. So I need to make a modification to that half landing, or the wood that is supporting it, so that I can open this up to the width that I want. I've done my measuring. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plasterboard down so I can get a good look at what's behind there and decide on the best path forward. Okay, I've had a good think and I've made a decision on what modifications I'm going to make. I think I would be creating far too much work for myself for the benefit of 150 to 200 mil extra width, because this piece here is bedded into the wall like that. So if I wanted to take that further back, I'm not sure what the structural implications are for taking these beams back if the edge of the staircase is going to overhang it. So I'm not willing to find out what those implications are. So this is staying exactly as it is. I'm going for a 900-ish opening. This joist ends right here. It doesn't run all the way through like at the other end. So I only need to support things from this side of the building. So what I'm going to do is I can probably get away with popping a piece just between here and here to make sure that's supported, but I'll probably also pop a piece of wood between here and the floor so that I can, because I don't know how far that bit of wood goes into the wall. So if I put something here as well, then I'm just really making sure that everything's going to be all right. So now I've got to think about getting on with it. So I opened all of this up, well, probably 3 months ago now, and I can't really remember what my thought process was, but by watching this back, it looks as though I started in the shed because there is no render or plaster on the walls. And what that means is that I can see how all of the blocks have been laid. And then I can cut through the mortar between the bricks. But in the kitchen, there is render and plaster on the walls. So in order to cut at the same height, I needed to remove the render and plaster first, so that then I could cut into the blocks from both sides by about 30 mil with my 115 mil blade, which would in turn make it a lot easier to remove the block with an SDS drill. Yeah! Woo! Here you go. Ah, fantastic. It is 20 to 4 on a Sunday, so I might stop and sort of pick this back up tomorrow. Just perfect. as I was drifting off to sleep last night, I suddenly thought, well, I've established that I don't need any acro props to hold the ceiling up because there are no joists that rest on any of the wall that I've cut out, which means this wall is non-load bearing. So that begs the question, why install a concrete lintel if it's not supporting any load? So I'm not going to. I'm going to construct a timber lintel in its place. There is one load-bearing aspect to the wall, and it's this timber here. This is the timber that supports, it bridges from here to the external wall, and it's what supports the half landing. And you can see that it's sat on top of this block, acting like a lintel. It does the same on the other end. And although I want my opening to follow the edge of this joist, so along this green laser line, the way that the bricks have been laid mean that it's going to be far more straightforward to remove bricks as a whole where possible. So the laser line's here, but the edge of every other brick is slightly to the left. And that means if I move the laser line over that brick, like so, well, that means that I'm coming on sort of on the other side of this joist, and that would leave the joist unsupported. So the solution to that is to build out underneath it. So I'm going to cut this piece of wood to the right length so that it can sit under here, and then once the wall's cut out I can build the wall back out to this line and I'll have this fully supported. We want this to be nice and snug. That's pretty good, and now I've got to level it. I think the best way to do that is not to use the edge of the timber, but put a mark on the timber towards the top and the bottom that is the same distance in from the edge, and then you just get the laser to line up with that line, top and bottom, and you know you're level. You want to line up the laser with your first line, which I now can't see because it's too dark in here. That looks good. And then you want to knock the other end until it lines up at the bottom, and you're good. Spot on there. Spot on there. With the half landing properly supported, I pretty much went ahead and repeated what I did the day before to remove the top 3 blocks. I cut along the mortar lines in the shed, and then I removed a bunch of the render and plaster from the kitchen side, and then did the same to the blocks. I'll put my hands up here and admit I had no idea what I was doing, and everything I tried, it was all trial and error. But eventually I started to find a bit of a rhythm and work out what the best techniques were. Okay, progress update. I've got a big chunk of the wall out now. Earlier off camera, I just did a cut all the way along here, and then I've been drilling every inch or so that I can just whack the blocks with this hammer, and they seem to come out pretty nicely and give me a somewhat tidy edge that can be cleaned up and straightened and squared up, etc. So once I'd made that vertical cut, top to bottom, and drilled the holes at increments all the way through along that line, I then used the same holes to drill at 45 degrees both upwards and downwards in each hole, sort of just coring out most of the block, making it much easier to knock away. Look at that! We don't even need to... Yes! We might be done within the hour. There we go. Oh. Ow! Ow! That hurt. Maybe be a bit more careful. Or just let them fall, perhaps. Yeah. Careful. Yeah, look, you can see how nice a line I got based on drilling that. Yes! Oh, God. I've done some cleanup and it's looking pretty good. The walls are straight. I've got to tidy up the edges, which I'll do now. Some bits didn't chip off, and then up here it hasn't chipped to the right width. I need it to be on the other side of this joist, and then here I've just got to take this bit off, and then we're looking pretty good. I'm very pleased with this. Got a utility room.
Oi! What do you think you're doing?
Sorry. Lost control of the trolley.